The first step in overcoming negative thoughts, feelings, and emotions begins with recognizing the patterns that run through your mind. Many people go through life reacting to their thoughts without ever pausing to notice them. They feel frustrated, anxious, or sad and wonder why these emotions keep recurring, failing to realize that awareness is the key to change. To transform your mental and emotional state, you must first train yourself to observe your thoughts as they arise. Awareness doesn't mean judgment or self-criticism. It simply means paying attention to what is happening inside you. When you start noticing the recurring themes in your thinking, you gain the ability to interrupt patterns that are harmful. You might recognize that every time something goes slightly wrong at work, you immediately spiral into self-doubt, or that certain memories trigger feelings of anger or sadness automatically. These patterns are often invisible until you consciously examine them, and once you see them, you can begin to take action. Many negative thought patterns develop subtly over time, shaped by past experiences, societal conditioning, or personal fears. They can become so ingrained that you hardly notice them, yet they silently dictate your emotional responses and behaviors. For example, if you grew up in an environment where mistakes were harshly criticized, you may have developed a mental habit of self-criticism. When you make even a minor mistake, your mind automatically shifts into a narrative of failure. Recognizing this pattern is empowering because it allows you to differentiate between an automatic emotional reaction and a conscious choice about how to respond. Awareness creates a space between your thoughts and your actions, giving you the ability to respond with intention rather than react out of habit. Another important aspect of recognizing negative patterns is tracking the triggers that set them off. Certain situations, people, or even internal states like fatigue or hunger can exacerbate negative thinking. By identifying these triggers, you can prepare yourself to respond differently. For instance, if you notice that social media often leaves you feeling anxious or inadequate, acknowledging this effect gives you the power to limit your exposure or change your approach. If interactions with certain people consistently bring out frustration or resentment, recognizing this pattern allows you to set boundaries or adjust your expectations. Awareness is not just about observing your thoughts in isolation. It's about understanding the context in which they arise and how they influence your behavior. Mindfulness techniques can be extremely helpful in cultivating this awareness. Simple practices such as pausing to take a deep breath, mentally noting the thought you are experiencing, or journaling about your emotions can illuminate patterns that were previously hidden. Over time, these practices strengthen your ability to catch negative thoughts early before they escalate into overwhelming feelings or destructive actions. The goal is not to eliminate negative thoughts entirely. Everyone experiences them, but to notice them, understand them, and prevent them from controlling your life. Recognizing negative thought patterns is a courageous act. It requires honesty with yourself and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths. But this courage is the foundation of change. Once you can see the patterns clearly, you can begin to challenge them, replace them with healthier perspectives, and ultimately regain control over your mind and emotions. Awareness is the first step that separates those who remain victims of their thoughts from those who become masters of their mental and emotional world. In essence, the journey of overcoming negativity begins the moment you choose to observe, understand, and take responsibility for your own mind. Once you have recognized the negative patterns in your thoughts, the next crucial step is to challenge the inner dialogue that fuels them. Many people believe that their thoughts are facts, but the reality is that the mind often exaggerates, distorts, or misinterprets situations. Negative self-talk is not a reflection of who you truly are. It is a habit that can be changed. The first part of challenging this dialogue is learning to identify the stories your mind tells you. When you catch yourself thinking, I'm not good enough, or I'll never succeed, pause and ask whether these statements are objectively true. Most of the time, they are exaggerations fueled by fear, past failures, or comparisons to others. Simply noticing this discrepancy is a powerful step toward reclaiming control over your mind. Challenging negative thoughts requires active engagement. It is not enough to simply recognize them. You must consciously question their validity. Ask yourself, is this thought based on facts, or is it an assumption? Am I viewing this situation from a narrow perspective? What evidence exists that contradicts this thought? This process might feel uncomfortable at first because it requires confronting deeply ingrained beliefs. But discomfort is often the gateway to growth. When you train your mind to question the automatic narratives it produces, you start to weaken the influence of negative thinking. Over time, this practice develops mental resilience, allowing you to navigate challenges without being overwhelmed by self-doubt or fear. Another critical aspect of challenging your inner dialogue is reframing. Reframing means taking a thought that is limiting or harmful and consciously shifting it into one that empowers you. For example, instead of thinking, "I failed again," you might reframe it as, "This is an opportunity to learn and grow." Instead of saying, "I can't handle this," you could replace it with, "I will take one step at a time and find a solution." Reframing does not ignore reality or pretend that difficulties do not exist. Rather, it changes your perspective in a way that allows you to respond constructively rather than succumb to despair. With consistent practice, reframing can transform the way you experience challenges and setbacks, making you more resilient and focused. It is also essential to recognize that the inner dialogue is shaped by patterns formed over many years. Challenging these thoughts is a process, not an instant fix. Patience and persistence are key. Each time you successfully question a negative thought or replace it with a more constructive perspective, you strengthen a new neural pathway in your brain. This is the science of habit formation. The more you practice positive and rational thinking, the more automatic it becomes. You gradually shift from reacting to thoughts impulsively to responding to them intentionally, which is the hallmark of emotional mastery. Additionally, surrounding yourself with supportive influences reinforces this process. Engaging with people who model constructive thinking, consuming content that inspires and uplifts, and practicing affirmations or journaling can all help solidify a mindset that challenges negativity. The combination of self-awareness, active questioning, and positive reinforcement creates a robust system that keeps your mind focused on growth rather than defeat. Challenging your inner dialogue is not just a mental exercise, it is an act of empowerment. It reminds you that you are not a passive observer of your thoughts. You are the author of your mental narrative. By questioning the validity of negative beliefs, reframing your perspective, and consistently practicing positive self-talk, you reclaim control over your emotions and your actions. This process transforms fear into courage, doubt into confidence, and helplessness into empowerment. Over time, the habit of challenging your inner dialogue becomes a powerful tool that allows you to navigate life with clarity, resilience, and optimism, turning what once held you back into a source of strength. Focusing on gratitude is one of the most powerful tools to overcome negative thoughts, feelings, and emotions. When we allow ourselves to dwell solely on what is missing, what went wrong, or what we fear, our mind becomes a breeding ground for negativity. Gratitude shifts that focus. It changes the lens through which we view life, allowing us to see what is working, what we have achieved, and the people, experiences, and opportunities that bring value to our lives. This shift may sound simple, but it is profoundly transformative. When you train your mind to notice and appreciate the positives, even the small ones, you create a foundation of emotional resilience that shields you from the constant pull of negative thinking. The practice of gratitude begins with awareness. Take a moment each day to reflect on 3 things you are genuinely thankful for. These can be as simple as the warmth of the sun on your face, a kind word from a friend, or a personal achievement, no matter how minor. Writing them down amplifies the effect because it forces your brain to focus and internalize the positive experiences. Over time, this daily habit rewires your brain to naturally notice positives rather than default to negatives. Your mind, trained to search for what's working rather than what's failing, begins to resist the habitual pull of pessimism. Gratitude also helps put challenges and setbacks into perspective. Life is full of obstacles, disappointments, and moments of frustration, but when you consciously focus on the things you are grateful for, you prevent yourself from being consumed by negativity. For instance, a mistake at work might feel devastating at first, but if you also recognize the supportive colleagues around you or the skills you are developing through the experience, the situation loses much of its emotional weight. Gratitude does not erase difficulties, but it provides balance, reminding you that even in challenging times, there are positive elements worth acknowledging. This balance creates emotional stability and allows you to respond to adversity with calmness and clarity rather than fear or despair. In addition to personal reflection, expressing gratitude toward others strengthens both your mindset and your relationships. When you acknowledge the people who have positively impacted your life, you deepen connections and increase your own sense of fulfillment. Whether it's a simple thank you or a thoughtful message, these acts of acknowledgement reinforce positive emotions for both you and those around you. Relationships, after all, are a key source of emotional strength. By actively appreciating the people in your life, you create a supportive environment that naturally discourages negativity. Another crucial aspect of gratitude is its effect on mental and physical health. Studies have shown that practicing gratitude regularly reduces stress, increases optimism, and improves overall well-being. When you focus on what you have rather than what you lack, your brain releases chemicals like dopamine and serotonin that elevate mood and reinforce positive thinking. This creates a virtuous cycle. Gratitude improves your emotional state, which makes it easier to notice additional positives, which in turn strengthens gratitude even further. It is a self-reinforcing habit that, over time, fundamentally shifts how you perceive the world. Gratitude is also a mindset that can be applied in real time. When you face negative thoughts or emotions, pause and ask yourself what you can appreciate in that moment. Even when situations are difficult, there is almost always something to acknowledge, whether it's your resilience, a lesson learned, or a small positive aspect of your environment. By consistently practicing gratitude in these moments, you weaken the power of negativity and create space for positive emotions to grow. In essence, gratitude is more than a polite habit. It is a strategy for emotional mastery. It trains the mind to focus on abundance rather than lack, on strengths rather than weaknesses, and on opportunities rather than setbacks. When cultivated daily, gratitude becomes a shield against negative thoughts and a source of lasting motivation. It is a conscious choice to see life not only as it challenges you, but also as it gifts you. And that choice can transform your mental and emotional world in ways nothing else can. Your environment has a profound effect on your thoughts, feelings, and emotions. The people you interact with, the media you consume, and even the physical spaces you inhabit shape the way you perceive the world and yourself. If your surroundings are constantly negative, critical, or draining, it becomes difficult to maintain a positive mindset. To truly overcome negative thoughts and emotions, it is essential to take control of your environment and surround yourself with influences that uplift, inspire, and support your growth. This does not mean isolating yourself from reality or avoiding challenges, but rather creating a context in which your mind is more likely to thrive. One of the first steps is evaluating the people around you. Relationships play a crucial role in shaping your emotional state. Some individuals are supportive, encouraging, and motivating, while others may be constantly critical, pessimistic, or draining. Negative energy from others can easily infiltrate your mindset, leading to doubt, anxiety, or frustration. By consciously choosing to spend more time with people who lift you up and encourage your best self, you create an emotional buffer against negativity. Surrounding yourself with those who believe in your potential fosters confidence, resilience, and optimism. This doesn't mean you cut everyone out or avoid difficult relationships entirely, but it does mean being intentional about the influences you allow to dominate your life. The media and information you consume also have a powerful impact. Social media, news outlets, and entertainment can either nourish your mind or feed negativity. Constant exposure to sensationalized news, comparison-driven content, or pessimistic narratives can amplify feelings of inadequacy, fear, and anxiety. To control your environment, be deliberate about the content you consume. Follow sources that educate, motivate, and inspire. Seek out stories of resilience, innovation, and positivity. Limit exposure to content that leaves you feeling drained or doubtful. Over time, this selective intake shapes the mental landscape of your mind, helping it focus on possibilities rather than obstacles. Your physical environment matters as well. Spaces that are cluttered, chaotic, or poorly organized can unconsciously reinforce stress and negative emotions. Creating a space that is clean, organized, and reflective of your goals fosters clarity and calm. Even small adjustments, such as arranging your workspace, adding meaningful decor, or spending time in nature, can have a significant impact on your emotional state. When your surroundings support focus, peace, and positivity, your mind is better equipped to resist negative thought patterns. Intentionality is key in controlling your environment. It requires self-awareness and conscious choices about the influences you accept into your life. You might need to set boundaries, limit interactions with people who drain your energy, or restructure your daily routines to prioritize positivity. These steps are not always easy, but they are essential for creating a mental ecosystem in which negative thoughts have less power. Taking control of your environment is an act of self-respect and empowerment, signaling to yourself that you value your mental and emotional well-being enough to protect it. Furthermore, actively shaping your environment reinforces positive habits. Being around motivated, supportive individuals encourages you to adopt similar behaviors. Engaging with inspiring content and creating orderly spaces naturally reduces stress and supports productive thinking. As a result, you experience a feedback loop. Positive influences foster positive thoughts, which in turn attract further positive influences. This cycle strengthens your resilience, enabling you to navigate challenges with greater confidence and emotional stability. Ultimately, taking control of your environment is about designing the conditions in which your mind can flourish. It is a proactive VE approach to managing negativity, ensuring that external factors support rather than sabotage your emotional health. By surrounding yourself with positivity, setting healthy boundaries, and curating the spaces you occupy, you create a foundation that allows your mind to focus on growth, possibility, and empowerment. When your environment supports you, overcoming negative thoughts, feelings, and emotions becomes not only possible, but natural. Taking care of your mind and emotions is essential in overcoming negative thoughts and feelings. Often we underestimate the importance of slowing down, reflecting, and nurturing ourselves. Life moves quickly, and the constant demands of work, relationships, and responsibilities can leave little room to pause and focus on your inner world. Yet, without self-care and mindfulness, negative thoughts can accumulate unnoticed, growing stronger and influencing your behavior in ways you might not even realize. Mindfulness and self-care are not luxuries. They are tools for emotional resilience and mental clarity. By investing time in these practices, you create a space where your thoughts and feelings can be observed, understood, and managed effectively. Mindfulness begins with simple awareness. It is the practice of paying attention to the present moment without judgment. Instead of getting swept away by worries about the future or regrets from the past, mindfulness allows you to observe your thoughts and emotions as they arise. This creates a pause between stimulus and response, giving you the ability to choose how to react rather than being controlled by automatic patterns. When negative thoughts surface, you can acknowledge them without letting them define your actions. You might notice a wave of anger, sadness, or fear and simply recognize it. I am experiencing this emotion, but it does not control me. This awareness is empowering because it breaks the cycle of reactive thinking that often fuels negativity. Self-care is a broader practice that complements mindfulness. It includes physical, emotional, and mental nourishment, all of which contribute to a stable and positive mindset. Regular exercise, proper sleep, healthy nutrition, and moments of rest provide the foundation for a resilient mind. Physical well-being directly influences mental and emotional states, and neglecting it makes negative thoughts more likely to take hold. Emotional self-care involves activities that replenish your spirit, spending time with loved ones, engaging in hobbies, or practicing gratitude. Mental self-care includes reading, learning, reflection, or any practice that stimulates your mind positively. By intentionally caring for yourself, you create conditions that make it easier to counter negative patterns with calm, clarity, and positivity. Breathing exercises and meditation are particularly effective in managing negative thoughts and emotions. Deep, controlled breathing calms the nervous system, reduces stress, and allows your mind to reset. Meditation encourages observation without attachment, teaching you that thoughts are transient and do not have to dictate your emotional state. Even a few minutes a day can make a noticeable difference, helping you develop the ability to remain centered when challenges arise. Over time, these practices strengthen your emotional resilience and allow you to respond to life with greater patience, understanding, and composure. Mindfulness and self-care also foster self-compassion. Negative thoughts often thrive on harsh self-criticism and unrealistic expectations. By cultivating mindfulness and caring for yourself, you learn to treat your thoughts and emotions with kindness. Instead of punishing yourself for feeling anger, sadness, or fear, you acknowledge that these are natural human experiences. Self-compassion reduces the intensity of negative emotions and prevents them from escalating into destructive patterns. It allows you to recover more quickly from setbacks and approach challenges with a balanced perspective. The combined practice of mindfulness and self-care creates a positive feedback loop. As you become more aware of your inner state, you can intervene early when negative patterns arise. As you care for yourself, your energy and emotional stability increase, making it easier to maintain a positive mindset. Over time, these practices become habits that strengthen your mental and emotional resilience, ensuring that negative thoughts, feelings, and emotions have less influence over your life. Ultimately, mindfulness and self-care are about taking responsibility for your inner world. They are proactive strategies that empower you to manage your thoughts and emotions instead of being managed by them. By prioritizing these practices, you build a strong foundation for overcoming negativity, allowing you to live with clarity, balance, and purpose no matter what challenges come your way. Taking action is the final essential step in overcoming negative thoughts, feelings, and emotions. Awareness, challenging your inner dialogue, practicing gratitude, controlling your environment, and cultivating mindfulness all lay the groundwork But without action, change remains theoretical. Negative thoughts often gain strength when they are left unchallenged, and the mind can easily become trapped in cycles of worry, doubt, and inaction. Action disrupts these cycles. It transforms intention into tangible progress and empowers you to reclaim control over your life. Action begins with small, deliberate steps. You do not need to solve every problem at once or completely eradicate negative thoughts immediately. Instead, focus on manageable tasks. Move you forward. This could be as simple as setting a daily goal, completing a small project, or taking the first step toward a personal aspiration. Each completed action reinforces a sense of competence and control, reminding you that you are not a passive observer of your circumstances. When you consistently take small actions, the momentum builds and your confidence grows. The very act of moving forward, even incrementally, can shift your mental and emotional state from stagnation and negativity to engagement and empowerment. Action also provides clarity. Often negative thoughts seem overwhelming because they exist in the realm of uncertainty. The mind ruminates on what-ifs and imagined outcomes, magnifying fear and doubt. By taking concrete steps, you bring reality into focus. You gather information, test possibilities, and see results, which diminishes the power of imagined fears. Action breaks the illusion that problems are insurmountable and replaces it with evidence of your ability to cope, adapt, and succeed. Even when challenges remain, taking proactive steps gives you a sense of agency, which is essential for emotional resilience. Another important aspect of taking action is embracing imperfection. Many people hesitate to act because they fear failure, criticism, or making mistakes. This hesitation allows negative thoughts to thrive. It is important to understand that action does not require perfection. It requires courage, persistence, and the willingness to learn from outcomes. Mistakes and setbacks are not indicators of inadequacy. They are opportunities for growth. Every step you take, even if imperfect, teaches you something about yourself, your abilities, and the world around you. By reframing failure as feedback, you reduce fear and strengthen your capacity to act despite uncertainty. Taking action also creates a positive emotional feedback loop. Each step forward, each accomplishment, no matter how small, reinforces a sense of achievement and boosts motivation. This, in turn, diminishes the weight of negative thoughts and feelings, making it easier to continue moving forward. Action turns abstract goals and intentions into tangible progress, which fuels confidence, self-belief, and optimism. The mind begins to associate effort with results, and the emotional satisfaction of accomplishment gradually overpowers habitual negativity. Consistency is key. One action, while helpful, is not enough to create lasting change. Overcoming negative thoughts requires a pattern of deliberate, repeated actions. By committing to consistent effort, you train yourself to respond to challenges with determination rather than fear. This builds resilience and transforms your approach to life. Challenges no longer paralyze you. They become opportunities to apply your skills, learn, and grow. Action, sustained over time, shapes not just outcomes, but your identity. You begin to see yourself as someone capable, resourceful, and empowered rather than someone defined by limitations or negative thinking. Ultimately, taking action is about reclaiming control. Thoughts and feelings are transient, but actions create tangible change. They demonstrate that you have the power to influence your life,